The last thing you can expect from the creators of The Evil Within 2 or Ghostwire Tokyo is a bright, stylish, cartoonish rhythm action game in the vein of early Platinum Games projects that will be the first worthy contender for the title of Game of 2023. The announcement and release of Hi-Fi Rush came as a complete surprise to Xbox and PC owners. A project honed to perfection, which is difficult to find fault with by any criterion. Today I will explain why it would be a mistake to miss the new Tango Gameworks game, and for what merits players give it high marks. With a sudden announcement followed by a follow-up release, Hi-Fi Rush is showing big companies that games can be sold without thoughtful, sometimes even deceitful, marketing. Square Enix for a long time hung noodles on people's ears, promising to make Forspoken a worthy PS5 exclusive, and at the release it got into a puddle and gave out a contender for the disappointment of the year. Hi-Fi Rush was developed in absolute silence, without any advertising. This allowed Tango Gameworks to avoid the industry's standard expectation/reality comparison. Bethesda and Microsoft are primarily looking to Game Pass and word of mouth to get people to know about the game. Yes, there can be no talk of gigantic sales, but Hi-Fi Rush is more art than product. At the very least, this is the first Xbox game in many years that has received very high ratings from both players and the press. From the first shots, Hi-Fi Rush declares its love for modern garage rock and alternative music, turning on the lonely boy of the Black Keys. To the music, we are presented with the industrial world of the future, in which robots peacefully coexist with ordinary people. The pieces of iron in the game do not differ from ordinary mortals and live by the rules that have long become the norm for us. We saw something similar in last year's Stray. But in Hi-Fi Rush, robots really eat organic food, wake up for work and complain about meager wages. Rules the ball in the near future corporation Vandelay Technologies, which at the time of the beginning of the game announced a program to replace limbs with cybernetics. The protagonist, Chai, signs up for a body upgrade to fulfill his lifelong dream of becoming a rock star. By coincidence, during the operation, a music player falls on the protagonist's chest, and a soulless conveyor implants it into Chai's body. Now the hero can feel the musical connection with the environment and the rhythm of the movements of all living things. Each level, each scenery, absolutely everything obeys the laws of musical rhythm, which gives Chai incredible superpowers. The quality control service does not accept the upgrade of the main character and recognizes it as defective. The corporation orders the robots to eliminate Chai and prevent him from escaping. But unexpectedly, the protagonist discovers in himself another ability, to collect a Gibson Flying V guitar from garbage, which can not only play music, but also perfectly beat robots. However, even these abilities are not enough to get out of the Vandelay factory complex alive. The hacker girl Mint comes to the rescue with the RoboCat 8. The latter, after synchronization with Chai, gives him the ability to hit the beat with increased combat potential. Peppermint offers to help Chai escape, and in return he will help her investigate the secret conspiracy of the corporation's leadership. The humor and presentation of the plot are in the style of Edgar Wright films. At the same time, Hi-Fi Rush does not bypass Guardians of the Galaxy and borrows a similar presentation of minor characters from James Gunn's Tape. T's allies, like the heroes of the Guardians, are eccentrics and outcasts, who can only achieve all the tasks set together. Each character is interesting in its own way and you become attached to each in a matter of hours. In the plot of Hi-Fi Rush there is a special lightness and simplicity that allows you to relax and escape from everyday worries. Even touching moments are arranged in such a way that you involuntarily smile from cuteness. Chai's faithful companion, the RoboCat 8, is a separate sort of pretty pleasure. Each scene between battles, a somersault with the final boss, and banal squeezing in between missions tie the player to the pet no worse than in the aforementioned Stray. With all its simplicity and humorous presentation, Hi-Fi Rush cleverly hides a satire on modern problems of technological progress with an admixture of dystopia. Through the difficulties of robots and their everyday life, we observe what the power of corporations is really based on. Recycling, limited budgets, deceitful marketing, lies at every turn and a thirst for profit from the problems of ordinary people, all this is served with a touch of humor and irony. Hi-Fi Rush is primarily a rhythm action game, and only then an adventure platformer. The battles in the game are a unique harmonious flow, where music is the main key to victory. We saw something similar in last year's Metal Hellsinger, but Hi-Fi Rush has a much better sense of rhythm, conveyed by more logical game design decisions. Chai always performs its attacks in time with the music, and it does not depend on your pressing the gamepad buttons. Hi-Fi Rush will not punish for not following the rhythm, but will only reward for following it. Extra damage, points, health packs and fuel for special attacks encourage you to stick to the rules of the game and sync with the music track via the gamepad. The combat system is similar to Devil May Cry or Bayonetta. Thanks to the constant attachment to the music, the growing complexity and easy-to-learn combinations, the game gives a completely different emotion from the slasher. Hi-Fi Rush does not force you to cycle through combos, leaving space for thinking about each action. You are always free to choose which strike to strike, dodge or parry the attack, use a companion or hook the opponent to close the distance. The 4-digit beat combo is just a seed to keep the rhythm going, into which any of the above action can be squeezed. Opponents also adhere to the musical rhythm and fight the player according to similar rules. In Hi-Fi Rush, it is much easier to dodge attacks and avoid incoming damage than in Bayonetta 3. The confrontation with each robot turns into a special dance rhythm game, where the only possible error is due to being out of sync with the music. This comparison becomes especially obvious during the boss battle, where parrying is indispensable in principle. At the same time, each boss battle is uniquely furnished and diluted with its own mechanics. I won't spoil it, but I'm sure you'll be delighted. Hi-Fi Rush is very diverse in terms of numbers and constantly throws up new enemies, features of the arena and abilities for T. There are so many robots in the game that it is absolutely pointless to list them. And this is not just a unique model or skin, but a full-fledged new enemy with its own feature and combat pattern. The driving force behind the entire game design of Hi-Fi Rush is music, and everything around the player is synchronized to the track prepared by the developers. The more you look at the game world, the more you begin to notice how much everything is tied to the rhythm. T stomps his foot when he stands still and snaps his finger. The figure 8 emits pulsating rings. Every detail of the environment, trees, mechanisms, stones, doors, obstacles, is tied to the strength of the clock frequency. It creates a unique feeling of the living world. The game carefully tries to help each player stay in sync with the music stream. The colored circles that complete the combo allow you to follow the timings. Each beat is accompanied by a note and a shout from the vocalist. For people who have had a bear stepped on their ear, the developers have added a metronome to make it even easier to track the beat. Tango Gameworks does everything possible so that the gamer does not feel uncomfortable in the game world. The platform part works on the same principles. Obstacles and key objects are removed and returned to the beat of the music. The game never cheats and always adheres to the rules of rhythm. Traveling around the world is done in the best traditions of early Naughty Dog projects, without unexpected impassable places or intricate level geometry. Locations are filled with all sorts of switches that your companions can activate, secrets and closed sections for the endgame. Another important achievement of Hi-Fi Rush was the visual. Games have been trying to outdo movies for years. Camera work, directing, motion capture, multi-layered script and other film techniques are already being used with might and main in the gaming industry. Hi-Fi Rush tactfully departs from the usual standards of AAA blockbusters and tries itself in a different way, in animation. There are a lot of comments on the net that Hi-Fi Rush is a low-budget indie project. Absolutely wrong. It takes as much money to create animated animation as it does to produce a film. Hi-Fi Rush feels like a full-fledged cartoon that doesn't feel like a hack. Characters are bright and memorable. Designers and animators literally breathed life into the characters with incredible animations and detailed images. In charming cutscenes, T with partners is revealed from different angles. It's hard to believe that all this was created on the game engine. The animation splendor continues during the battles. You can always call on any comrade at the right moment of the combo to look at the damn cute tandem special moves. At the same time, the game manages to maintain a strict balance between 2D and 3D, without turning the image into a mess. The main thing without which Hi-Fi Rush cannot exist, as you already understood, is without music. It is simply gorgeous and performs the main task 100%. It makes you nod your head to the beat, stomp your foot and press the keys on the gamepad. Hi-Fi Rush is an unexpected surprise and an incredible discovery of the gaming year that has just begun. No one expected such a warm-up from Microsoft. A real competitor to all modern animated series, cool animation, funny characters, charismatic villains and the most good-natured humor will not leave anyone indifferent. And behind the visual splendor lies an equally fascinating slasher, in which the main weapon is rock music. Hi-Fi Rush will make you bob your head, smile and feel like an S-rated rock star at the end of the battle. Perfectly polished, varied and exciting project, which can definitely be called a contender for the Game of the Year.